Hey there, everyone. Tonight we have a lot to discuss. Welcome to another episode of Steven's NFL Podcast. Yeah, tonight we got a lot to talk about, especially with the panic mode of the NFL OTAs. I mean, seriously, folks, the NFL OTAs could they get canceled? Mostly because most of these teams have players opting out of the OTAs. I mean, seriously, people, 18 out of 32 of these NFL teams have players skipping voluntary OTAs so far. I mean, seriously, people, this is kind of crazy. But still, it is voluntary, so we can't exactly blame them. Still, I wish they would have gotten more practice in. I mean, seriously. Especially to the new recruits. I mean, seriously, that is kind of sad. Good thing as a Tennessee Titans fan, I don't see them as one of the 18 teams, but here comes the thing. None of the AFC South teams are any of those 18 teams. Holy crap. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. The AFC South is quiet, according to this. I mean, seriously, that is crazy. Still, Orlando Brown Jr. was traded to the Chiefs. D, welcome. Still, is it true? Yeah, I know. You're just playing. Vinroy, welcome. Darius, welcome. Yeah, I know. Wish it could have happened. But hey, speaking of Orlando Brown Jr., that's one of the topics we're also discussing. I mean, seriously, we're also going to talk about the NFL players that could get traded on draft night. I mean, seriously, people, we're 2 weeks away from the draft. Man, we are officially 2 weeks away from the draft. And be on standby on Friday, because we're going to do a group mock draft on Friday. So, but tonight we're going to be talking about the OTAs. We're going to be talking about the players that could get traded on draft night, especially since Pittsburgh Steelers is one of those teams that has players skipping voluntary OTAs. Are you going to be streaming on draft day? Yes. Yes, I will. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I will. I am doing that. I mean, and we are definitely going to be, and it's going to be a part, and it's going to be a party. I'll be there. I'll be on all 3 days. Of course, this is going to be my only year with all three, though. Still, it is going to be a huge honor to do the draft live, and yeah, get ready, because Friday we will be doing a group mock draft. So yeah, once the link turns up for group mock draft night after you hit the like button, please feel free to comment in the live chat before the group mock draft night. Which team you want to do. Still, the link hasn't been official yet. I'm doing tonight's episode, but then afterwards, I'm going to... How are you so quick with the news? Well, D, it's quite... It's quite simple. I keep up. Look, I keep up. I mean, seriously. Watch TV, I even check the news on the internet. Still, let's get back to things at hand. I mean, seriously, 18 out of these 32 teams will have players not attending the voluntary OTAs. I mean, seriously, this is kind of sad, people. Still, it is voluntary, but that could give some teams a huge advantage. We already know that 3 of those divisions have teams that have not spoken just yet about the voluntary OTAs. I mean, seriously, most of the AFC North, most of the NFC West, and AFC East. Those are the 3 divisions that have. But I wouldn't hit the panic button on the AFC North because the Cincinnati Bengals are the only team that were the only team that did not. So even though Browns, Ravens, and Steelers don't have, but as a Steelers fan, you might want to hit the panic button on that one. As a Titans fan, what do you want Tennessee to do in the draft? Vinroy, I will save that for next week. I promise you, I am going to save that for next week. Anyways, now that is what I call one heck of a. It's going to be one hell of a part. Still, the AFC North will be kind of quiet, even though there won't have voluntary OTAs. Where do you think Orlando goes? I will get to that as soon as we get to the people who get traded. I promised you that. I'm just focusing on the OTAs right now. Yeah, the voluntary OTAs, only the Bengals. The Bengals are the only AFC North team that has not players opting out of OTAs. But here's the thing. The Arizona Cardinals are the only NFC West team that doesn't have players opting out of voluntary OTAs. And for the AFC East, Buffalo Bills. Wait, so JC is on the trade block? Yes, even though he signed that second round tender, it doesn't mean JC Jackson is going to be a New England Patriot completely. He could still get traded either during as long as it's before trade deadline. Yeah. He could still get traded even before trade deadline. But the team on OTAs, Arizona Cardinals, Buffalo Bills, those are the teams you might want to look at because their division rivals have players opting out of voluntary OTAs. Yeah, that's what I call one heck of a problem. Both Los Angeles teams are going to be quiet having players opting out of OTAs. I mean, seriously. Some hit the panic button. Others don't probably need the voluntary OTAs, but to some who opted out, their fans might want to hit the panic button if they think they do need them. And no AFC South team has players opting out. OMG, I think about Tennessee can be a team that makes the JC Mill and Zach Ertz. So yeah, let's move on to the guys who could get traded. Now we already know Now, we already know about the J.C. Jackson thing. We already know about the Zach Ertz. But here's the thing. There are other guys that could get traded on draft night. I mean, seriously. We already got word that Denver Broncos could possibly trade Deshaun Hamilton. He was drafted by the Denver Broncos back in 2018. He's a wide receiver. I mean, seriously. You also know Chicago Bears is probably going to be in the running to trade away Anthony Miller. Yeah. So far, it's mostly wide receivers. And we already know Kansas City Chiefs. We already know the Baltimore Ravens might be heading towards Orlando Brown Jr.'s trade. Shoot. Now, that is what I call one heck of a problem. Orlando Brown Jr. is going to cost a team a first-round draft pick, or probably a mid-second. Yikes. I don't know what the heck is. Well, if the Bengals... No, not the Bengals, because there's no way they're going to trade him to their division foe, especially since that's way low. No, way low. I think maybe either Kansas City Chiefs or Indianapolis Colts could be a destination for Orlando Brown Jr. You already know, or probably somewhere high, like say for the first round pick. If they want a first round pick, I think Orlando Brown Jr.'s possible destinations could be Los Angeles Chargers or the Minnesota Vikings. Why did Titans get rid of Jack Conklin? He's worth too much money, and I don't know what the heck were they thinking. I don't even know what the heck were they thinking getting rid of Jack Conklin. But now he's in Cleveland. And that came back to bite us in the butt. But I mean, seriously, Titans could possibly go tackle again this year. Or I don't know. I mean, seriously, they're already showing interest in Tevin Jenkins, but so are the Indianapolis Colts. I think most likely for Orlando Brown Jr., it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. Because the Los Angeles Chargers would most likely want to use that pick on a younger offensive tackle. I think the Vikings could be in a position to trade with the Ravens for Orlando Brown Jr. If the Chargers were interested, if the Chargers could get him, that's fine. But I think right now Minnesota Vikings would be in the greatest position to get Orlando Brown Jr. So any other big names on the market? We already know about the Chicago Bears trying to trade away Anthony Miller. Yeah. Already know about New England Patriots trading for J.C. Jackson. Already know about get rid of the captain. I don't know. Not much else we know so far, but here's the thing. If Titans decide to go linebacker, I think it could be a crazy position to trade away Rashad Evans. Still, this is my opinion. I think it could happen because I think it could happen if they go linebacker or no. Still, Rashad Evans. I think it has to come down to either Rashad Evans or Jayon Brown. So I think Titans can still go linebacker in this draft. But if it is the first round, it's going to come. But if they do decide to go Xavier Collins in the first round or any other linebacker, tighten up. What's up? Then this is a sign that either Rashad Evans or Jayon Brown's time with the Titans is up. And if it comes down to those two, Rashad Evans is the one to go. Because Jayon Brown was like their god. But But I think they might. But I think they might want to wait till next year for a linebacker position because the best possible linebackers, Micah Parson, is probably going to be long gone before they reach that far, unless they somehow trade all the way up for him. Like that's going to happen. When you look at free agency for Tennessee, you may be right. Yeah, you bet I'm right, Finroy. Yeah, you bet I'm right. I mean, seriously, next year Titans, their next free agency, next year's free agency is going to be even crazier because Rashad Evans will be a free agent. Harold Landry will be a free agent. Ben Jones will be a free agent. And if it has to come down to Ben Jones or Harold Landry, you know who they're going to defend. Ben Jones, because guess what? The offensive line has to stay intact for King Henry. I mean, seriously. If it comes down to Ben Jones or Harold Landry, Ben Jones is the one they're going to defend. Even though they got rid of Jack Conklin, even though they get rid of Dennis Kelly, there's no way in hell they're going to be crazy enough to let Ben Jones go on if they don't choose Harold Landry. Wow, Tennessee has to retract this guy, guys. I think so. Vinroy. Who says tighten up? I don't know what Vinroy's talking about. Is it either Ben Jones or Harold Landry or probably the Rashad Evans thing? Still, yeah, it's going to be a tough call to make. If I were Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I would be in panic mode after hearing some of these players not attending voluntary OTAs, and look at the draft position the Steelers are in. I mean, seriously. Losing James Conner to the Arizona Cardinals, your offensive line falling apart. I would not want to be a Steelers fan after seeing that. Because look at them now. They could be in a position for Najee Harris. They could be in a position for Travis. I can't even say his last name right. Yeah, it's the guy from Clemson. But then there's another problem. The offensive line. That's the problem. Oh, God. It's a difficult call between offensive line and running backs for Pittsburgh. That is what I call a sad position to be in. They need all the practice they can get, but now still some teams, they're going to need the draft in order to stay intact. But if you're a New York Giants fan, you can't not hit the panic mode, even though Jason McCourty left without a contract. And talking about they need to let guys go for cap or restrict guys so that they ain't get a lot of money. Vinroy, okay, yeah. Yeah, you're talking about the letting go guys for cap or restructuring. Yeah. Yeah, but they got to be careful on who they release because guess what? Titans, they had to replace Arthur Smith with Todd Downing. After losing Arthur Smith to the Falcons, after striking out with any real offensive coordinators, especially Pep Hamilton, who decided to be Texans quarterback coach. And then the defensive coordinator remains the same. Shane Bowen. Sorry about that. Yeah, Shane Bowen. See how there was a brain fart right there? Now we're... And telling if we draft right and trade for those guys, we win the Super Bowl. Roy, it's going to take more than that. We're going to need the right... We're going to need the proper schedule as well. We're going to need all these guys to not get injured. We're also going to need their total commitment. Remember Isaiah Wilson? He didn't commit, and then when Titans released Jonnu Smith, I was mad. You and me both, tighten up. You and me both. I was extremely mad that they let him go, and I was also extremely mad when he signed with the New England Patriots. I mean, seriously. I cannot believe it. Now Jonnu Smith, the trader, gets to host the Tennessee Titans in one of those 17 games. But they need it for cap. Hey, speaking of which, Janoris Jenkins will be playing one of his former teams, New Orleans Saints. Thanks to this 17-game schedule. I mean, seriously. But they need it for cap. Yeah, but sometimes sometimes worrying about cap, that can bite you back in the end. Sometimes it can bite you back if it's the wrong guy. If you can't replace the guy you release properly. If you can't release the guy properly, it's going to bite you in the butt. That Chiefs and Packers game is going to be good. It all depends on how many games Chiefs and Packers are going to win because it's confirming that game's going to be week 17. In case any of you forgot about that. That if it's true and that all these extra games are week 17, then you better hope Chiefs and Packers don't win a lot of games for this to be a proper game. Still, this is going to be one heck of a year. You got to make every moment count. If you're a Tennessee Titans fan, you better hope Jonnu Smith doesn't screw up in the first round. Otherwise, it's bye. Ravens schedule is hard. Yes, it is. I mean, seriously, the Ravens, I cannot believe it. They lost Matt Judon to the Patriots. That was one of the guys. Matt Judon was one of the guys Ravens were free to let go. I mean, seriously. What's next? Matt Judon preparing to dance. We're just lucky Matt Judon's not traveling to Tennessee when the Titans take on the Patriots. I mean, seriously. We already suffered enough. The Sports Star, what's up? Okay, where you go to see free agency players left in free agency? Roy. Right now, this is going to be a tough call to make. I mean, seriously. Other than the Justin Houston visit to Baltimore. There's no other word yet. But all you New York Giants fans might want to be on standby because Jason McCourty left without a contract, but that doesn't mean that he is not going to be tagged. I mean, seriously. Jason McCourty left the New York Giants without a facility without a contract. So, Richard Sherman, Seahawks or Browns? What do you use to live stream? The Sports Star, I am all natural. I don't use equipment. Tighten up. Richard Sherman, Seahawks or Browns? I'm going to have to say Cleveland because they're in a position to make the Super Bowl. I mean, seriously, you can't expect me to not. I mean, seriously, it's okay if Richard Sherman wants to go back to his former team, but if he goes to Cleveland, he'll be in the running for another Super Bowl ring because Cleveland Browns, they're already looking like Super Bowl contenders. I mean, seriously, look at this team. They've gone from zeros to heroes. They're the Hercules. They're the Hercules of the NFL. My God. Sick and tired of it. But still, what Cleveland Browns do in voluntary OTAs is going to depend on should the Titans use Biff Jeff on offense. Oh, you're talking about Jeff Simmons? Yeah. I don't know about that. I think if they do decide to use Jeffrey Simmons on offense, I would definitely be okay with it. I would definitely be okay with Jeffrey Simmons going on offense, but I prefer him as defense. I mean, seriously. Cannot afford any more defensive screw-ups, but I think Jeffrey Simmons would be okay as an offensive player. I mean, seriously, I don't mind one bit. Browns don't need him. They signed Rams cornerback. They got Denzel. Roy, you do have a point right there. Jamal Adams and Bobby Wagner. Need Still, I think the team that's going to make the big moves in the draft is Miami Dolphins because, hey, let's face it, Miami Dolphins, they already gotten enough. They already have enough draft picks to do who knows what. I mean, seriously, they were originally free. They moved up to they traded down to 12 and then moved on to 6. I mean, seriously. What are they? I mean, seriously. Miami Dolphins are building the future. Holy crap. Talk about one heck of a plot twist. I think Devonta Smith should be one of the guys that goes to Miami because he and Tua were once teammates. Wow, 2003 freeze is looking nice. Tennessee could sing some really good players. I hope so, Vinroy. I hope so. We need all the firepower we can get, especially with the Miami Dolphins draft picks. I mean, seriously, look at Miami's pick. Look at Miami's draft after pulling off that crazy trade. Those 2 crazy trades. I mean, seriously. They got enough draft picks for the next few years, and they're in a position to snag a very great wide receiver for Tua. That's kind of insanity. I could see Miami Dolphins being a playoff team this year in 2021. I mean, seriously. I just hope Tennessee Titans play Miami early, well, before they become too strong for us to handle. Still, Miami Dolphins, they're one of the 18 teams that that'll have players not volunteering for the OTAs. Still, it all depends on which players are not going to do it. I mean, seriously. But if it's the wrong guys like Tua, I'm not going to see how we're going to pull this up. How they're going to pull this off. I mean, seriously. Well, I think that's enough for tonight, okay? I'm about to head off. I'll see you all on Friday for group mock draft night. See you all next time.